And it says that we are live now. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Leslie Chambers Kaiju Reviews. Yes. And we're doing another live stream discussion, a celebration discussion. It's a celebration! Yes, it is.
Yes.
Yes!
Woo!
About one of the greatest Godzilla films of all time, celebrating 20 years this year, December 15th, 2001. Godzilla, Mothra, King Ghidorah, giant monsters, all out attack, celebrating 20 years. We kind of jumping the gun a little bit, because officially it's not its anniversary until December 15th of this year, but we still are jumping the gun because we love this movie. Every single person in this room loves this movie so much. So that's why we're here to discuss this film. Yes,
I got some hot takes though. Don't worry.
Exactly. And I'm glad you brought that up. So basically, for anybody out there, if you find GMK overrated, this streaming for you. If you find GMK not the best Godzilla movie from the Millennium Era, this streaming for you. If you find GMK as one of the worst Godzilla films out there, this stream ain't for you. Okay? Okay. We're here to celebrate this movie, even though we might be critical about it. But it's hard pressed. I mean, I know I'm just joking with that, but I know it's kind of hard pressed. Even the most jaded fan will still call this film somewhat of a good film, even though there's problems with it. But still, we all love this film. We all love this film. GMK, yes. Let me do my Steve Harvey thing and introduce my awesome co-host, of course, my beautiful queen, Queen GMK, as I affectionately call her, the one and only Sandra Chambers. How you doing?
I am doing wonderful. I am so excited about talking about my baby face.
Yes. And of course, my awesome co-host and fearless leader on Collect All Monsters. Yes. The Kaiju cast controller, the one and only Kyle Yount. What's going on, Kyle?
What is up, everybody? Leslie, Sandra, Jordon, AJ, great to be here with you guys. I can't wait to chat about this movie. It is one of my favorites of all time. And so many cool layers I could just jump to. I can't wait to see what happens with our discussion.
All right, now we go from the Kaiju cast controller to the Realist Goji Fan in the room. I'm going to have him do his catchphrase, so don't trip. The one and only Jordon Adorno. How you doing, Jordon? What's going on
I'm
with you?
doing good, Leslie. I'm doing good, everybody. Bottom boom, Realist Goji Fan in the room. How you doing, you guys? This is an honor. It is a privilege. And just like everybody in this live stream right now, GMK is my absolute favorite movie. Can't wait to discuss it with you guys.
All right, awesome.
And of course, last and certainly but not least, you've seen this guy plenty of times on the channel. He's one of my best friends in the entire world. I love him to death and his beautiful family. You see him pretty much almost every Sunday on the most awesome YouTube Kaiju collectible show in the history of shows. The one and only Aj Russo from Kaiju Live. What's going on, AJ?
What is going on, everybody? Great to be
Yes.
here. We just actually had a record-breaking, shipped out like 60 happy moments this week. It was awesome.
Oh, that's a happy moment.
Yeah. So if you got that Ichiban Godzilla from Kaiju Live, it is on the way. But I can't wait to talk about some GMK. Just watched it. Got it fresh. Watched it last night, and then some of it this morning with my daughter. So ready to jump right in.
And this is what happened when you get an attractive Godzilla fan and collector, a controller, a Realist Goji fan, and an awesome toy vendor all in the same room, and a guy that says yes for some strange reason. This is what happens when you get all together. We're here to celebrate this movie. I know for a fact that GMK, this movie is my wife's favorite Godzilla film. It is Jordon's favorite Godzilla film. It is Kyle's favorite film. If Monster Zero is not on that number one spot, and I think AJ,
It's in my top 5.
It's in your top 5.
Awesome.
Right.
For sure. Yeah.
So I don't want to make any of the real GMK fans in the room mad. Sandra, I ain't trying to sleep on the couch tonight. Kyle, I don't want to be booted from Collect All Monsters. Jordan, I still want to keep you as a friend. I have some issues with this film that I want to talk about, and maybe through y'all enthusiasm and through y'all, is she looking at me? Hopefully, through y'all, I can see things the way you see it, or maybe I'm wrong, or maybe I'm right. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Yeah, I'm sleeping on the couch tonight, fellas. All right, let me check in with the chat before we go any further. All right, Godzilla Train 1090, what's going on? Chris Zilla 2014, Martin Palacios, what's going on? Kaiju Cast, oh hey Kyle. Kaiju Battle, what's up, Michael? Eric Stolt, what's going on? David Dopko, what's up, David?
Yo, dude.
Helmy's in there.
What's up, everybody?
Helmy,
Going on?
Thank you so
Helmy.
much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be a
Tell me
part
there's
of
no
this
sleep for the wicked.
Yeah,
Oh,
Helmy don't
yeah.
sleep, man.
Between
I
that
still
and
think he's catching his breath from that 90-centimeter shin
Yeah,
unboxing.
Good
That
lord.
was a beast.
It was crazy.
I was like, get that dude a humidifier, call a paramedic. But honestly, I can't really talk because I felt the same way when I unboxed the Spiral Studios King Ghidorah. So I felt his pain. I felt his pain. All right. Now, as I mentioned earlier, of course, we're talking about GMK. And we'll go around the room. Of course, it'll be Kyle be first, and Jordon and AJ, then Sandra and I will be last. But the first question is this, and everybody in the chat, if you have a question, you're more than welcome to pipe down your answers in the chat. That way you can get some conversation amongst yourselves in case you find us bored. But how did you come across this film for the first time? Like, when did you know about this film coming? And in a way, why is it your number one, or why is it one of your favorites? Kyle, go.
All right, so I'll try and make this sort of quick. Yeah, if people don't know, in addition to being the Kaiju Cast guy, I also was the Henshin Online webmaster, and I created the Shrine of Gamera way back in the day. So back in like 1996, I was a huge fan of what I was seeing from Shusuke Kaneko's Gamera series. And of course, when that finished, I was like, dude, I can't wait to see what happens with the Godzilla series now. And then I'll just fast forward to when Kaneko was announced for GMK, which is what I wanted. I wanted that director to do a Godzilla movie. And that's also when I was working as the webmaster for Henshin Online. So I was introduced to GMK basically as soon as the April announcement, like the press announcement happened, and was following everything up until it got put out, essentially as part of Henshin Online's coverage for GMK. So very, very familiar with it since its inception, really. Yeah.
All right, Jordan, you up next. How'd you learn about this film, and why is it your favorite out of all of them?
So growing up around the 50th anniversary of Godzilla, you know, when Final Wars was coming out, Sci-Fi was just promoting a lot of Godzilla movies. They had Godzilla marathons, they had Rebirth of Mothra marathons, and I just so happened to come across one of those marathons. And the movie I saw for the first time alongside with GMK was Godzilla versus Megaguirus. After that was GMK, and just not knowing anything, you know, still a newbie to trying to get into the lore of Godzilla, coming across everything from start to end. My jaw dropped the entire movie. I just love the overall designs of the monsters, the background behind them, as well as like the human characters. Just overall, it stole my heart. It drew my attention to Godzilla even more. So that was my introduction to GMK through Sci-Fi Channel.
Nice.
That's what's up. All right, AJ, I think we kind of alluded to the fact that this film is not your number one because we know what number one is, okay?
64.
But
Let's go.
it's in your top five. I'm sorry, babe. I really am. I'm so sorry.
We're talking about GMK 20th anniversary. We ain't talking about 64.
But why is it in your top five?
Well, I came across this film. I used to be, well, still a part of the, they were the Monster Zero forums back in the day. Now they're part of Club Tokyo. So that's where I used to live when I was a kid. And so I was, when this got announced, Gamera 2 was one of my favorite all-time monster movies. So when Kaneko was announced as the director, I was like over the moon. And luckily for any of the Long Island people listening, Fourth World Comics, shout out to them. They used to bring in Godzilla movies, like the bootlegs and all that stuff. So once they got it in, we got the call, went there, picked it up, and Dad and I watched it, and badass Godzilla, man. That's all I'm all about. And it doesn't get any more badass than GMK. So as for why it's in my top 5, I absolutely love the story. I love the. I'm a sucker for like Ghostbuster kind of stuff, which is it's all over in the movie. I'm not a big fan of the designs other than Godzilla, but it doesn't matter. Honestly, it's like that's like a side note to me because I love everything, and we got a ton of Godzilla during the day, which I'm a sucker for that as well. So badass Godzilla, daytime scenes, dad bod Godzilla, which I now represent. I just love it. Just love it.
I guess, babe, we'll do. We'll tag team the question together. Just tell everybody why this film is your favorite, and I'll talk about how we kind of came into it together.
Well, the film's my favorite because it's got my favorite guy up there, GMK, and it's the baddest suit there is. To me, yeah, exactly. Hey, baby.
The Leroy Brown of Godzilla suits.
I kiss GMK suits every day. Well, to me, I like GMK because when I'm watching Godzilla movies, I look one for the dialogue, but to me, a monster is a monster. It needs to be a monster. It's not a pet, So that's why I really, really like GMK because everywhere you turn, you saw GMK. You could like pick up on his personality. He's like, a Mothra jumped on his back, like, oh yeah, oh really? You know what I'm saying? So I just like his whole demeanor in the movie. I just love the movie. When I saw it, I just stuck like a magnet. I saw the suit. It stuck like a magnet. I said, that is my favorite. And I will never, ever, ever change off of GMK and being my number 1 ever.
And to answer the other part of that question, it's kind of like an origin story for me and Sandra. I'm going to try not be too long-winded. Because honestly, when I first watched this film, and I have no problem saying this, I really did enjoy it. I really didn't get it at first. It was okay, but I was like, I wasn't too impressed when I first watched it. And that happens. But when Sandra and I, before we got married, we were dating and we were staying in separate households, whatever. And when she came over to my apartment for the first time, she saw the figurines around my apartment, and she was like, the Godzilla figurines. She was like, "Oh, you're a Godzilla fan?" I was like, "Yeah, because I never really been until I got more involved with the community online. I never really disclosed that part of myself, not because I was ashamed of it, because I know that Godzilla is like a niche thing, and not everybody's going to get it. And I would prefer if you want to have a conversation about why I love this stuff intelligently, I have no problem talking to you about it. But if you want to just talk about it and look down upon me, I prefer you don't say anything at all. That's why I kind of kept it to myself, right? But when she saw the figurine, she was like, "Wow, that's cool." So that kind of added like another layer to our relationship, because we're trying to get to know more about each other, and we had so many other things in common. And the fact that we were both basically Godzilla fans, because she watched Godzilla films growing up, and she kind of like fell off, kind of like I did. So us coming together, kind of like we kindled that type of passion. And then once we got a house together, started moving in together, it was really the video that Kyle did with S Plus, where he is holding the gigantic GMK for the first time. The first American to do that. That video is still awesome, as a matter of fact. Now, I was watching that video, and Sandra, I think she came up from behind me, and she saw me watching the video with Kyle, and Kyle is holding it, and Sandra was like, "What is that?" I'm like, "That's Godzilla." And she was like, "What movie is that from?" I was like, "It's from GMK." She was like, "Do you have that movie?" I was like, "Yeah." you want to watch it? She was like, yeah. So we watched it, and like I said, it became her favorite Godzilla design and movie of all time, and it kind of rekindled her passion of being a Godzilla fan, and she wanted to really watch the films that she missed along the way, and she's become, you know, more supportive of me as a collector and what I do in collect all monsters, and she's a collector herself. So this film and this design really got her back in being a Godzilla fan, and which I really just appreciate. And of course, we've seen pretty much every single Godzilla film that she missed along the way. And there's some films that she appreciates, you know, like Destroyer and the MonsterVerse films. And then there's some that she doesn't appreciate, like anything involving Mania or the
Oh yeah.
or the dub version of Biollante, where they refer to him as Godzilla. She can't stand it.
I lose my grip. I was like, I can't watch it with you. Sorry. If you say Godzilla one time, I was like, I can't watch it anymore.
It's no different than somebody saying kaijus. That would actually send Kyle into a frenzied rage. So don't say the word kaijus. It's pronounced kaiju. It's plural. Kaiju.
I mean, one man's frenzy is another man's chill, right?
Yes, it's like that button you don't want to push. And it just sends me onto another planet. I was like, I can't.
Yeah. So basically, put a bow on our part. GMK really brought her in more so as a fan, made her a collector, want to be a part of the community, and just like I said, that's like one of the best blessings in the world, to not only be a collector but to have a partner in life that not only supports you but is a part of it, you know, themselves. And that's always a beautiful thing. And who would have thought that a movie about a unholy possessed demonic Godzilla will bring us all together? So that's how we came across this movie, and why it's her favorite, and it's by far my favorite from the Millennium series. It's in my top 10, but it's not in my top 5. It's like number 8, number 9. But still, top 10 is still good, considering that Godzilla has like 30-something films and counting. I'm sure there's more coming. And so to have GMK in the top 10, no matter where it is, I think it's still a great thing. Now, normally, as I told my co-host off air, normally I ask a question, then we will just chime in on the particular question, but I'm going to do something different. I'm going to ask a different question to every single co-host, and we're going to pick it back off of that. So the first question goes to Kyle. Now, if you're familiar with Kyle, you know this is his favorite Godzilla film along with Monster Zero, and he has no problem admitting that they sometimes fluctuates. It depends on the day, depends on his mood, depends on what's going on. So the question to you, Kyle, is like, what is it about GMK that will put it in a top spot over Monster Zero on any given day, and vice versa? What is it about Monster Zero that puts that in the top spot over GMK? Because they're both really contrasting films, you know, just really different films, different versions of Godzilla, different stories, but still are both great films from their particular eras. What is it about them two that really puts them in the top spot for you?
I'd say like maybe 45 years of filmmaking is probably what makes the big difference between the two films, right? So what I will say is, since this is a GMK episode, I'll take a small amount of time to talk about Monster Zero and what I love most about it. It's not the monster action, even though all the special effects are fantastic. It's the dynamic between the humans. It's the plot of the story. It's the pacing of the movie that never for one moment in Monster Zero do I go, man, where's Godzilla? You know, and because Godzilla has very little screen time in that film. So that makes it almost a perfect film just in terms of enjoying it as a movie, less so a Godzilla film. Now, flash forward to 2001 when Kaneko's GMK comes out, and it's got so many improvements in filmmaking techniques and filmmaking and storytelling that I think that movie stands so far, like head and shoulders, so far above any movie that came out after the Showa era, really, in terms of being able to connect with the audience. And that is like really because I'm talking about Monster Zero, which is all about connecting with the audience because there's such little science fiction, you know, visuals happening. I feel like GMK does the best job of making that connection. And then on top of that, since you've got the guy who made the Gamera series, he's basically taking even more of those improvements in filmmaking and adding them to his movie, which makes it even better in a sense. But it's not perfect. It's definitely not a perfect film. It's got a lot of flaws from the core through the finished project, you know. And I'm sure we could talk about that more too. But I really think that what makes GMK better than any of the other Millennium series is that I feel like I am interested in what the humans are doing, you know, and that's really not the case with the with the Mechagodzilla duology or Final Wars or a little bit of Megaguirus. You get a little bit of that for me in Megaguirus, and a little bit in Godzilla 2000. We talked the other day in our coffee chat stream about how Godzilla 2000's Godzilla Prediction Network had like a lot of heart, and a lot of people were like, "That's cool. I would like to work with a group like that." You know, that's something that's missing in most of the other Millennium series, is that connection, that sort of like, I want to be involved, or I would like to put myself in this situation with these people that you get in Godzilla 2000 for that group, and in GMK. Like I would follow Yuri Tachibana all around Hakone on a bike with a video camera to see what happens. You know what I mean? Like that's, to me, that was good filmmaking, and that's what Godzilla needs in addition to being good monster movies.
That's
Fiend.
cool. You know what, Jordan, before I ask you your question, I'm gonna ask you your question, Sandra, next. And it involves Godzilla himself, his design. I don't think we have had a conversation about it. I mean, of course, you always talk about how it's awesome and it looks great and blah blah blah. But if you can, just in your own words, just further elaborate why this design. Out of all the Godzilla designs that you've seen, and I know you like the I know you like the MonsterVerse one. I know you probably like the Heisei one, the Burning Godzilla. But why this one? Out of all the Godzilla designs that they have put out there, why does this one get your goose, so to speak?
Are you kidding me? No, I'm just kidding. He is the most intimidating Godzilla. You know, I go back to what I was saying. He's not meant to be your buddy, your pal. He's meant to intimidate, to scare you. He's got the white eyes, the mouth. I love his mouth, you know, because it's open and it's square. I like the square, you know. Like I have a lot of friends that like Shin. I'm not a big Shin fan. I respect you, but the mouth right here looks so much better. Looks so much more intimidating. The suit is gorgeous. I mean, he's hunched over. He looked like he's, you know, he don't want to be bothered. He's getting bothered in the movie, you know. Just don't bother me, you know.
One quick question.
Yes.
I'm going to cut you off. Of course, this is the gigantic GMK. It's stylized. Now, we don't really see this in the film. Now, which one do you prefer? Do you prefer the more suit accurate one we've seen in the film, or would you prefer have seen this version of Godzilla in the film if they were able to do it?
Oh, man. Geez, I like everything GMK, but if I could have had one like this, that would have been great too. I mean, either, you know, to me, either way, it would have been good. I like the hunched over. I think it's more intimidating to me if he was hunched over more. I think he would be even more scarier, you know. And that's the whole thing with this GMK, you know, as being my favorite. Like I said, to me, when I'm watching Godzilla, I don't look for him to be a pet, and I don't look for him to be my bestie. You know, yeah, I mean, you know, I look for him to kick kind in. You know, in other movies, of course, he helps humans out, but you know, he was just minding his own business. He didn't want to be bothered, and then he got attacked by, you know, Mothra and King Ghidorah and all that. But
I mean, by far, this is. I mean, we've seen Godzilla evil before, but we have never seen him like this evil.
Well, yeah, he didn't want to be bothered, you know. It's just like, you know, that's why I said when he got attacked by Mothra from the back, and then she flies off, he looks like, are you kidding me? You know?
In a way, since we kind of like on the Halloween theme, in a way, you kind of can compare this Godzilla to Michael Myers. because his goal in the film was to just destroy everything, destroy Tokyo, and anything that got in his way that would make him get to that goal later rather than sooner, he just destroyed it.
Yeah,
And you can't. I mean, you know, of course, there's a kind of a reason behind it in a way, which I'll talk about later on. But the fact that he's just really evil, and the fact his eyes are just blank, is just. I think that's like the best selling point of this version of Godzilla. It's just the soulless eyes.
His face, I love his face. It's just so intimidating. And then with his body posture, you know, it looks really great. Even like I said, if we could have had him like this, that would have made it even. You know,
the reason why they didn't.
I wish they, you know, would have made more movies with that suit. You know, a whole lot. You know, that would have been great. They would have made more movies with that suit. Yeah,
but at the same time, this design works for a particular story they were in. That's why I always say, like, you know, the 67 Son of Godzilla suit, even though it's ugly, it's perfect for that movie.
Yeah.
84 was perfect for that movie. Like, this wouldn't have worked in, let's say, Megalon. You know what I'm saying? So it worked for the particular story, basically.
Megalon would have flew away, but like, I'm good.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going back to Zootopia. Screw this shit.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
all right, Jordon, you're up next. And your question is this. And, of course, you know, we know that this is your favorite Godzilla film, but no film, let alone a Godzilla film, is perfect. So is there anything that you would change about this film, or are you good with what we got?
So I've discussed this with Samson West and Adrian on my last live stream. I love all Godzilla movies. With the exception of 98, but I do tend to see where, you know, some people would say it's a good monster movie, but it's not a good Godzilla movie. So I try to meet people in the middle with that. With GMK being my all-time favorite, as I said earlier, I love everything about it, from the monster designs, their backstories, the main, you know, the human protagonists. One thing that I do wish, though, and I always bring this up whenever me and like my, you know, personal close friends that are also Godzilla fans, whenever we talk about it, is I would have loved to see how this movie would have played out if they stood with the original ideas of having Varan and Anguirus instead of Mothra and Ghidorah. Like, especially like Varan in the Godzilla, you know, universe really doesn't, he's not shown a lot of love, you know, throughout the movies and stuff like that. Like I've seen in other popular medias like video games, action figures, of course, but obviously this movie, in my opinion, would have been the stardom to Varan's career in the Godzilla universe. And then obviously having Anguirus in it. I love Anguirus. Even seeing like his original design of how he was supposed to look in the movie was something I've always wanted to see. Just also would have loved to see how that story would have played out if they stood with those original monsters. Overall, those are like the only changes that I would have liked to see in the movie, and it's just, you know, the choice of keeping the monsters that they had originally planned out for the movie rather than exchange them for Mothra and Ghidorah.
You know what? Let's piggyback off of that. AJ, is there anything you would change about GMK if you were in charge?
Oh, absolutely. I would. Yes, I absolutely agree with Jordon. Like, I am way more intrigued and think it would have been a lot of the flaws would have been less glaring if we would have got the Baragon, Anguirus, and Varan. Because one of the things that I absolutely hate about the movie, I do not like King Ghidorah as a good guy. Don't like it. It bothers me. It just, even like they try to play it up as like a young Orochi, and even then it's just like, well, Orochi is also not a good guy, so why is he a guardian? I don't, unless I'm wrong on that. Am I wrong on that?
No, because I was talking to Les about it too.
It's like a right.
I didn't like that King Ghidorah suit in that.
Yeah, the only thing I like about the King Ghidorah suit is like I forget the guy's name that created it, but like he was a big Varon fan, so he gave him like the Varon gills, which was cool. But even then, hey babe, Abby's here. Uh, I just, yeah, I really think if we would have had Varan and Anguirus, the movie would have played out a little bit better. And especially after coming off, we had the Mothra trilogy. I was just at that point just sick of Mothra and King Ghidorah. I just didn't care. I was just like, and on top of that, in my opinion, they're the two worst incarnations of those two characters from design wise. And you get like, and you're gonna do a whole Guardian angle with Mothra, but not bring in the twins. I mean, you had that one shot that was like an homage, like, hey, look, they kind of look alike, right? So like,
Yeah, I was just talking to Leslie about that. So we was watching it. I was like, we're talking about the same thing. Like,
yeah, it's like, so you can tell that he had a script, and Toho came in and was like, we want this. So he's like, okay, and just inserted them as characters in name only kind of thing and filmed it. But that'd be it. I mean, that is really the only thing that I would change. I would really love to have seen the Snyder cut, so to speak, Kaneko cut of GMK. I think that would have been really special. And yeah.
How about you, Kyle? Is there anything that you would change?
Okay, so I love the movie, but yeah, I would definitely I'm just going to echo everything everybody else said. I, of course, as a huge Varan fan, I really would have liked to see it be, BVA VG, Baragon, Varan, Anguirus versus Godzilla. But I completely understand the financial aspect of things and how, Toho telling Kaneko to not use Varan and Anguirus because they weren't going to bring in the dollars. Did you guys ever hear the story that Kaneko relayed where he went to his like high school reunion or something like that, and he was like, "Hey, you guys, check this out! I'm going to make a Godzilla movie, and it's going to have Baragon and Varan and Anguirus in it." And all of his friends were like, "Who the hell are those monsters?" And it made him question his decision on them. So that when Toho was like, "You need to change that," he's like, "Yeah, maybe that's what I should
you're right.
do." It's not as the super fans in the room. We all want to see that movie, right?
Yeah,
Especially based off of the amazing designs that they had. I mean, I don't know if they would have been able to implement those. Actually, Leslie, do you want to show people what Anguirus looks like?
Sure.
Because I got the.
Yeah, I love the Anguirus design.
Yeah, let me just do this, and then you can share that screen. So this is the maquette that was on display at the DNA exhibit, and so Fuyuki Shinada, the guy who did the suits for this movie, when he was on a plane ride with Kaneko, I think in like 2000. Kaneko was like, "I'm going to be doing this movie," and they basically chatted about it on the flight. And so Shinada just went out and did a whole bunch of work, prep work before the monsters got changed. So this is Anguirus there, and then I don't have a good picture of Varan, but I could show off the model kit.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's get right back.
Trust me, AJ, in regards to King Ghidorah, spoiler alert, that's going to be kind of your question coming up real soon. Yeah. So,
well, did anyone see Spider-Man 3? And you know how like they made Sam Raimi put in, oh man, how did we not get that Varan? But anyway,
beautiful.
And they made Sam Raimi like phone in Venom. They were like, you got to put Venom in this movie, and he was like, I hate Venom. So he like intentionally ruined him on purpose. Like you could tell, he was like, you want Venom? Here you go. I kind of felt like Kaneko did that with King Ghidorah, because even like, all the flying scenes with King Ghidorah are some of the worst maybe ever. It's not moving. Like they were just like, you want King Ghidorah? Here he is. I hung him up. There you go. His feet don't move. His tails don't move. His heads barely move. I'm like,
yeah.
Okay. I kind of felt that a little bit.
Because I want you to dive more so into that later on. But Kyle, I'm going to finish what you were saying about what you would change.
Sure. Yeah. So I definitely would change the monsters for sure. But there's also aspects to the film as a creator that, like, if if you took those off the table, like, oh, sorry, that's a fixed point in time. You can't have Varan and Anguillus in that movie. You have to make other changes to it. I would make really small editing changes, things that make very little sense as a creator. Like I'm like the scene where the guy's in the bathroom and the house gets crushed. Ooh, that's just goes on for just a few frames too long. And like when the gal gets the tail goes into the hospital, Godzilla's tail smashes into the hospital.
Yeah.
It like lingers for too long. There's like real small stuff about the movie that bugs me, and I'd probably choose to focus on those things instead of the overall issues that I have with like someone said the last 20 minutes. Was that you, AJ? The last 20 minutes are not so great. Anyway, I completely agree that I love the movie and I love things about the movie, but there are areas where it's kind of like, really, that's the decision you guys made? You went that way? Okay, all right, I'm here for it, but I would have gone a different way. That's the kind of stuff I would get in trouble with.
How about you? Is there anything that you would change?
Well, yeah, kind of talking about that hospital scene, because he passed the hospital and then it's like, oh, wait a minute, let me go back. And then that's when the tail came and hit, and busted the side of the hospital out. But it was like, that was like a afterthought, almost. Because, when he passed by and the girl was looking with her leg, up.
That girl deserved it. She wanted Godzilla as a pet, and she found out why that can't happen.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So, that's like trying to have an alligator be your pet, right?
Actually, do you guys know that all of the appearances of the monsters, like, they show up because of man's arrogance and ignorance and, like, attitude. It's all about like this the terribleness of humanity really is like what's forcing these monsters to come out of their Yamato hiding.
I think this is the only movie that has like Mothra actually eating people, right? Like the Mothra larva like flat out eats those people.
That is straight up like that obviously should have been Varan,
Yeah,
obviously.
you knew it was. That was totally Varan scene.
Yeah.
I asked Lace this question. What was that squirting out of Mothra from her back end?
Oh, those are supposed to be poison stingers.
Yes.
Okay. Because I asked him, what is that?
Yeah, so that's a great example of stuff I'd change in the movie.
I had never seen that, and I was like, what is that? You know what I'm saying? I had never just really see her be so aggressive, trying to bite and shooting out stingers and stuff like that. Because first I was like, what is that? What is she putting out there?
For me, I would change really just two things. And again, like I said, when I first watched this, I wasn't too impressed with it. And now I understand what everybody's saying about they wanted more so Anguillus and Varan to be in this film. But considering how they use King Ghidorah and Mothra, you kind of can argue that Anguillus and Varan kind of dodged the bullet. Because if that would have been Anguillus and Varan, their fate wouldn't have been too cool either. And I don't like the fact that they made Mothra and King Ghidorah smaller and less powerful to make Godzilla seem more ferocious. Because we've seen Godzilla beat monsters that are twice as big as him. Like Baragon, for example. I mean, Baragon is like twice the size as him, but yet Godzilla was still the villain. The next movie, the same thing with King Ghidorah. So I understand why they did it, but I'm like, you didn't have to do that with this version of Godzilla. He was already badass enough. You didn't have to sacrifice Mothra's and King Ghidorah's.
Was he already badass enough? Think of Godzilla in the Megaguirus film. I mean, he was cool and everything, but I wouldn't call him badass, and I would definitely call GMK badass.
He was doing splash dives.
I'm
from the top rope.
I'm saying like the GMK Godzilla, he was badass. Like just looking at him, just on looks alone.
Oh,
like,
sure, yeah.
Mess with that Godzilla. I'm just saying like they didn't have to make King Ghidorah less powerful or make Mothra less powerful or even smaller. But I know King Ghidorah's kind of like a disappointment, but to me, I think Mothra was more so a disappointment. She was there, in my opinion. It's clearly obvious that she's there for name recognition only.
Well, Baragon got his butt whooped in that.
But in my opinion, I think Baragon gave Godzilla the best fight. but that's just mine.
Yeah.
He got thrown around like a rag doll.
Well, the
Yeah,
Baragon scene is is probably the best scene because it's the one that is the most intact from the original treatment.
Yeah, I
I'm
like
guessing.
the suit though. His suit is
Enzyme
really cool.
2000 watching live mentioned that Baragon was made small and cute and not really featured in the title, and he thinks that's a missed opportunity because Baragon could have loomed large, I'm guessing, with a new presentation. What Kaneko wanted to do with this film was make it so that your three guardian monsters had to work together to defeat Godzilla. And so they were all originally supposed to be much smaller than Godzilla in the original treatment, which is why Godzilla is so large of a monster. Like, he's played by Mizuho Yoshida, who's like 6 foot tall, and it's the biggest Godzilla suit, tallest Godzilla suit they ever made. So, but it just, because of that being the original treatment, and then them changing it to Mothra and King Ghidorah. And King Ghidorah is supposed to be like the 1,000-year-old dragon. It's, it's just, there's all sorts of areas where that falls apart, unfortunately. But
Exactly.
yeah, they were supposed to be small. The guardian creatures supposed to be small so that they could band together and defeat this gigantic opponent. So it's not I'm not justifying the decision, of course, but
King
basically,
Ghidorah died almost as many times as Kong did in GVK. Sorry, Leslie.
It's okay. It's all right. I got you. Basically, it's the Ghidorah, the created monster concept, except Godzilla's the bad guy versus King Ghidorah. But again, I felt like they would have just beat them up a little bit more and still have Godzilla go through them like it's nothing. You still could get to the same place without sacrificing Mothra and King Ghidorah's character. And another thing I didn't like, I kind of wish that we would have saw Godzilla blow up at the end instead of him dying off screen. Because when I first watched it, I didn't know what was going on. We see Godzilla about to blow out his flame underwater. We see the wound expand, and then it just, it just cuts to that big white light. Then we see,
His heart.
at the very end. Before then, you see just big, water, just gush of water just explode out of the water. Then the next scene, the people that control him, like, he's gone. Godzilla's vanished. I wish we could have seen him explode or something, because as much damage as Godzilla did in this movie, I think it would have been more appropriate to see the villain get what he had coming to him. Even though Godzilla's cool, but at the end of the day, he still was the villain. I wish that we could have saw something, but they kind of made up for it at the end when we do see his heart at the end, which kind of like left it on an open-ended type of note, which I thought was really cool. But those were the two things that I would change. Actually, you know what? Let's kind of circle back to Sandra's question, because we didn't really pick it back off of that. Kyle, what do you love most about the GMK design suit? Kyle, I know that's your favorite Godzilla design overall. So why is that your favorite?
I think what I like best about it is that it sort of takes the Godzilla that's in my mind's eye, which is what Toho sort of programmed it to be, which is like the 1991, 92, 93 Heisei look, and it just kind of puts it into the nightmare version, right? If you've seen Gamera 3, in the very beginning of the movie, Ayana is having a nightmare where Gamera from the first film attacks her house or apartment, and basically Gamera shows up and he's got these white eyes and he's got stuff sticking all off of him. He looks really nightmarish, and that's why we call him the nightmare or the trauma Gamera.
Yep.
And for me, when GMK was number one, when they brought out the maquette and showed that as part of the press conference, have you seen that? It's like, it looks like the GMK suit, but it's how they wanted it to work, right? So where his tail was elevated, he was much more dinosaurian in his
It's more like the poster, right?
Kind of like
The poster design, where he's not as
I'm gonna
heavy.
say maybe, but basically it looks like somebody from Hollywood designed Godzilla to be more like a dinosaur.
Velociraptor.
Actually, normally that would be a negative slant from me, but that's a positive thing, right? So they were trying to figure out how to make Godzilla look more realistic, but still badass, but still a dinosaur kind of thing. And unfortunately, that didn't work so much. I love the eyes. I love the look that it's the Godzilla in my mind's eye, but beefed up and wrought out to make him evil. But unfortunately, man, they just like had to give him the lifts in the feet, and they he's got the sumo belly because he's supposed to, when he stands up straight, it sort of like that gathers up and gives him that dad bod that AJ was talking about earlier. But really, if he was leaning forward the way it was originally intended, that would actually be alleviated. But yeah, unfortunately, man, they couldn't make it as cool as they wanted it to. But I absolutely love the design of this monster because I think it's the nightmare version of my Godzilla in my head.
Didn't they try to do him like leaning over, but the actor would just topple over, right? Like it was just impossible.
It was impossible to do.
The neck was so long because they wanted
had
the
to
animatronic head.
I feel like there was some sort of like they were trying to do like a counterweight balance behind him, and it just didn't work. But yeah, and I'm sure it was hella uncomfortable for a Yoshida-san.
Oh yeah, I can't imagine.
How about you, Jordan? I know this is your favorite movie, but is this design your favorite design, or if it's not, where does it rank in your favorite Godzilla designs?
Oh, it's my absolute favorite design. Like Kyle pretty much hit the nail on the coffin there. Like when growing up, I always like, and I think Takarada he really like hit the nail on the coffin when he said this during a document. I think it was a BBC documentary about Godzilla where everybody depicts Godzilla as, everybody has a different way of depicting Godzilla, whether it be a prehistoric dinosaur resurrected from, nuclear tests, a call out to Mother Nature to punish mankind for their, just selfish needs or whatever. His depiction of Godzilla was a holy monster. So that's how I always depicted Godzilla, and the way how obviously the way how GMK brought him into life was something that really like drew my attention to. Not only that, but the overall designs, the soulless eyes, the snout. I think they still have this up on YouTube, where they were doing they were building the actual GMK suit alongside with like some cool shots of Baragon. But just watching how everything was laid out from start to end. Like the animatronics on his snout. They even had animatronics constructed. I believe, I don't know if they finalized with this, but they had like animatronics on the dorsal plates as well. So just overall, it's one of my absolute favorite designs. Like my Godzilla tattoo is actually a burning Godzilla. And now that I'm thinking about it, I kind of wish I had GMK. I mean, I'm probably going to add him somewhere around me, but it's my absolute favorite design. I get into a lot of like heated arguments and debates with my friends about it. It's just like what Kyle said, like how he would imagine a nightmare version of Godzilla. That's the same thing with me. Even like the two previous Godzilla movies being Millennium and Megaguirus. This is just me. I really don't like Godzilla with like a Sharpie design or whatever, like with the sharp up dorsal plates, horns coming out of his skin or whatever. I like Godzilla for how I remembered him growing up in the Showa and the Heisei era. With the curved dorsal plates, the somewhat semi-smooth skin, and when I saw GMK, it was just like, it's beautiful, it's perfect. So it just, it's my absolute favorite design. I absolutely love it.
How about you, AJ? Where does this design rank in your ranking?
Oh yeah, no, this is top 3 for me. One of the Kyle brought this up with Gamera. Like Nightmare Gamera is one of my favorite things to ever exist, and I wish there were more toys of it, more collectibles. So when they basically brought that concept to Godzilla and just made Nightmare Godzilla, essentially, I was just like, this is it. And this is one of the only movies, don't want to say only, but the animatronics that they added to him to bring him to life with the eyebrows. He had the lips. you know, he was just expressive. Like you can tell he was angry and like pissed off. Like when Sandra said, like when Mothra hits him and then like he like scratches himself, he's like, get the, you know, it's just, you know, his eyebrows raise up and everything. Like I just loved how they brought it to life. And while it wasn't perfect and not what they wanted because of limitations of, you know, suitmation, I mean, it's still almost a home run. I mean, he has the dad bod or whatever, but honestly, it adds a lot of character to it. I just kind of love how whenever he like rises up, I always loved how his like head kind of like just came right back into that. And it just looks evil all the time. Just angry and evil, and yeah, I wish there was more animatronics in the heads after this movie. I think that's kind of why the Millennium movies kind of fall flat for me, because like I always compare it to GMK. I'm like,
Dude, there's
they did
so
it
many
in these
Millennium
movies.
Godzillas where they just sit still and they
Yeah,
don't
there's-
even move. They get
No
stuff in them and
expression.
they're
Yep,
like,
yep.
Yeah, like, you know, they may, you know, for instance, like Final Wars, technically that's probably the most badass Godzilla ever, but it doesn't look badass. The guy looks like he, you know, runs track, and it's just like, I don't know, he just doesn't look powerful.
CrossFit. Yep, yep.
Yeah, so him just like running through the entire catalog of monsters in a minute,
Literally.
just
Running
isn't.
through.
Yeah, dude's playing soccer and stuff with Anguirus. I'm just like, what is this? Like, this is not. You know, if you would have took the GMK Godzilla and put him in Final Wars, I would have probably actually enjoyed Final Wars and be like, you know what, that's believable, because that Godzilla looks like he'll destroy everybody. And another thing that I also love that Kaneko did was the, you know, his fire breath. I love the kind of like Dragon Ball Z spirit bomb effect, where it's like kind of pulling in. Hi, Abby.
Hey, Abby, what's up?
What? You got stuff on your hand? Oh no. Come over here. Sorry about that. Yeah, so I'll end it on that. I love like all the extra little stuff that they did to Godzilla to bring him more to life. Was something I really wish would have been approved upon in later films, and it never seemed like that, just never happened. So that's why Final Wars was a disappointment to me, for sure. But all right, let me see what Abby needs. I'll be back.
And I love the design. For one, like I said, Sandra really got me more into this movie, more invested into the movie, the story, as well as the design. And I'm like, wow, this design is awesome. And collectible wise, between the two of us, we got what, 10 versions of GMK in this house. We got like 3 Gigantics. We got a couple Sakai's. We got the favorite sculptors line. All the Devil Reels. So yeah, we kind of like
The one Rich came.
Yeah, you got the SH Monster Arts. Yeah, so we kind of love that design. To me, like what AJ just said, just the idea of an unholy demonic version of Godzilla, you couldn't get much better than that. In my opinion, just like what AJ said, if you put GMK in Final Wars probably would have been better. I would say if you'd have put this version in Shin Godzilla, it probably would have been better. It's just this version is just, oh my god, this thing is amazing. And again, it was Kyle's video that sold me on it, because I mean, and as well as Sandra's enthusiasm. But this thing is amazing. So if you have not gotten this guy, you really need to remedy that, excuse me, because the first in the gigantic line, and you know, everything that came after this, Mecha Godzilla, the Monsterverse, 64, 89, Shin, 54, 2000, 62. It had to start from somewhere, and it started off with a big bang with this guy right here. So, but the design, yes, the design is really, really cool. I really dig
Leslie, I found the actual picture of Kaneko with the maquette from the press conference. If you
Let's
want
go
to
to that
show
right now.
people what
All
it
right.
looks like.
Ooh.
So you can see, like, straight out the gate, they were aiming for a different Godzilla look in terms of his stance, pose, and his tail being lifted off the ground. It's really, really, like, when I saw this, I was like, dude, that is going to be a killer Godzilla. And absolutely, positively, we got a killer Godzilla in that movie.
And even with his just everything, not only just look wise, but just the way that he carried himself, like Sandra said, when he first gets to town or when he first gets on shore, he's stomping. He sees that crane. He just get it out the way and everything. When he fights Baragon, when he fights Baragon, he like just takes his foot and just smashes it on Baragon's head.
Stomps a mud hole. Yeah.
And kind of like the 54 where we see when we see Godzilla attack Tokyo for the second time in the first film. We see Godzilla walk, then he'll stop, then he'll just survey the land or whatever. We see the GMK Godzilla do that. If somebody like screams, and sometimes he'll just stop what he's doing just to kill one person. It's like Tokyo or Japan is like his playground. He wants to F it up, basically, and nothing can stop this thing. And kind of like Mothra versus Godzilla, where everything was thrown at Godzilla to stop him. Mothra, the military, the electrical plans, whatever. Same thing here. Baragon, Mothra, King Ghidorah, the D3 missile, even though it kind of did him in. But everything they threw at Godzilla until the very end really didn't work. And that's why I love about this Godzilla so much, because he was truly unstoppable. Now, AJ, here's your question. And let me bring him up right fast. Of course, we've been talking about this guy, the GMK King Ghidorah.
Yes.
And as you've heard, from, my co-host, he doesn't have the best reputation in the world. So here we are 20 years later. And I think I already know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask anyway. Is this the worst interpretation of King Ghidorah ever made? And do you think that the reputation that this design has is well deserved?
Trash. Just throw it in the trash can.
Okay, no problem.
Although I will say this, that is one of the best X Plus figures from a detail standpoint. That figure is incredible. They even threw like little glitter into the vinyl to really make him pop. But for me, I don't like. I said it earlier. I don't like Ghidorah as a good guy. The clipped wings when he first emerges was like, and then he had to die like 3 times for us to even kind of get something relevant of something that resembles King Ghidorah, for him to just again die immediately anyway. It's like, what is happening? Like every time he showed up to fight Godzilla, he died immediately, got resurrected into a better form, which then also died immediately again. And it was like, I don't get it. So it's like, I don't know if they were just trying to make Godzilla just that much of a badass, which they obviously succeeded, and I don't think they needed to go to that kind of lengths to demonstrate it. But for me, King Ghidorah was just an absolute shell of itself. Didn't, I don't like the chicken legs that he has either. It just, and him being super tiny in comparison. I don't know. It just, I might be alone on this one, but I just absolute worst representation of King Ghidorah, and if I was ever going to show someone King Ghidorah, it would never be that.
Is it the worst, the absolute worst, when you have the one from the anime trilogy? He didn't really look so hot in Zone
Kaiser Ghidorah.
Kaiser Ghidorah, or in Gigan, he didn't look too hot there, but still, or...
Well, when I was watching it, it looks like everybody's like trying to move in the suit like this, and it's like I was more concentrated on the people inside the suit than I was King Ghidorah when I was watching. They're like, move, it didn't flow. I mean, it's like those 3 people or how many people in that suit did not flow to make him move like he needed to move.
What happened was there was one guy in the suit, but traditionally, the bigger version of King Ghidorah, they would operate the heads by wires. But in some shots of this version of King Ghidorah, the guy is in the main body of the suit, and both of his arms are in the outer heads, and the main head has been manipulated by overhand wires. So he's like doing this to control King Ghidorah, essentially.
Well, it didn't even look like he moved like that. It did not have the flexibility that King Ghidorah did not move with any kind of.
That's because it's like puppets.
Yeah, I mean,
instead of just being bouncing around on wires,
And I will say one thing about GMK in that movie. If you notice, a couple times when he went to turn, he did like a military turn.
Who?
Did you notice that?
Who?
GMK.
Godzilla did an about face.
Yeah, he did about face several times. So it's so militaristic, I liked it when he turned his head.
Can't really salute with those tiny arms, though.
Yeah, she did this military pivot. He did like that left pivot foot.
Yeah,
Sometimes
the
when he
Michael
was,
Keaton Batman just
yeah, I'm like, dude, you just killed my vibe, man. You just killed my vibe. I love the suit, but you just killed my vibe on that one. I mean, like,
So AJ, this is the worst version of King Ghidorah in your opinion. The worst, the absolute
it's
worst.
it's really close with Kaiser Ghidorah. At least Kaiser Ghidorah has Monster X, which is relatively cool. Really, the only highlight for me in that movie. I honestly wish he just would have stayed Monster X and didn't turn into Kaiser Ghidorah. But at least, and I do not like the original anime trilogy, but at least that King Ghidorah's lore was really interesting and cool. Essentially a world-eating demon that literally had its own religion. I thought that was like a cool take on it, even though they did nothing with it in the movie. And you got to go on YouTube to see this fan-made fight, which is absolutely insane. So yeah, this just isn't King Ghidorah to me. The whole lore behind him, like the 1,000-year dragon who, I don't know, looks like a baby anyway. It just doesn't do anything for me. So yeah, I'm gonna stick with it. It's the worst.
How about you,
Unfortunately.
Jordon? In your opinion, is this the worst version of King Ghidorah ever? In your opinion?
Believe it or not, it's actually one. It's actually one of my favorite versions of King Ghidorah.
Sorry,
I'm
I'm so
so
sorry.
sorry, AJ. AJ, if it makes you feel any better here, I got a trauma gamma figure right here.
Oh, there we go.
But I
Explain,
just
good sir. Explain, good sir. Why is he one of
all
your
right.
favorites?
So like, my least favorite Ghidorah just so happens to be the 91 Ghidorah. Um, I put
Hot
down
takes.
everything. It is one of my least favorite Ghidorahs. I went so when these designs, if not just other kaiju's outside of the Godzilla lore, but Gamera, Ultraman, I always like tend to look. I don't know. I guess like the art behind it, I guess you could say. So when I came across obviously this Ghidorah, it just immediately, same thing with Godzilla, it gave me the Showa vibe. I love the crest on top of his head, the slightly bent side horns that he has as well on top. I love the references that they gave, with the frills on the side of his face to represent Varan. AJ hates the chicken legs. I love the chicken legs. I'm sorry. It's just like me. I've always lived by this. Change is not always a bad thing. Like the fact that they did go the extra route, making Ghidorah into the baby face in this movie, like it don't get me wrong. I had a lot of questions. I had a lot of questions in regards to that as I was a kid growing up, but eventually I was just like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like, I just love the overall backstory behind Ghidorah, how he looks more of like an Earth guardian, an entity rather than he being an alien of a, as we know Ghidorah. But yeah, this is, oh my God. I'm telling you, when I say I love GMK, I absolutely love GMK, including all the monsters. Just, it's beautiful. I'm sorry.
No,
No,
don't
it's all
apologize,
right.
man.
No, don't
I'm
apologize
sorry
about
for
it. Hey,
trashing
we
your
love what you
favorite
No,
King
do.
no,
Ghidorah.
no, AJ, no problem. No, listen, I'm all ears. I want to hear everybody's opinion on
But
this.
it's like the turkey legs that you get at like a Renaissance fair. They just like had that and were like, put it on him. Just stick it right on. Those are his legs.
I'm just
Literally
thinking what I
every
saw
time,
in
like
the grocery
even
store
when
the
I
other
come
day.
across
It's one
like
of those right there.
even like when I come across like dinosaur movies, or even like if I'm going to a store and I just so happen to come across like a T-Rex and I see his feet, the first thing I think about is, oh crap, this is GMK Ghidorah. Like I don't know, I love it.
How about you, Kyle? Is this, in your opinion, the worst version of King Ghidorah that you've ever seen?
I think the worst version is Kaiser Ghidorah. And I say that with love for the artist who created Kaiser Ghidorah. I love Katsuya Terada's work, and I think that his design was unfortunately not well
Executed.
translated, executed into a full fledged suit. However, I would like to say that even though Ghidorah in this movie, you know, he's got his issues, I'll echo what AJ said. This X Plus is one of the most detailed things I've ever held in my life. The scales just on the back are fantastic. I like that Shinada put the Varan pieces. I love that. That, you know,
Yeah.
and if people aren't sure what we're talking about these little pieces on the side of Varan's head, basically that got taken off and put into the Ghidorah heads, right there
Yep.
on the
Yeah.
side. And I love that, and I think it's really cool. And even though it's weird to have one of Godzilla's biggest opponents be a good guy, that never bothered me. The stuff that bothers me about Ghidorah in this movie are more about the way he's animated, executed, acted. It's less about the design and less about like this the chicken feet. Let's talk about the chicken feet. he's he's supposed to be like a dragon, like an Asian style dragon. So they're giving him back his Asian style dragon features in the face, and they're giving him Asian style sort of dragon feet to a point because these should be even smaller if you're talking about an Asian style dragon, right? Those things are like Manda. Manda is essentially the Asian style dragon turned into a kaiju suit or a kaiju puppet, right?
Yeah.
Teeny tiny feet. So this is like a compromise, I feel. How can we make it so that people will believe this monster exists? Anyway, they're not going for realism, but I totally get all the complaints about Ghidorah, but to me, I guess I like the 64 Ghidorah the best, the 68 Ghidorah. Those are like quintessential, as David likes to say. But I
Yes.
also really like this design of Ghidorah from GMK. I like it better than Mothra, honestly.
Now, I guess I'm in the middle of that. I don't hate it like AJ does, but I don't necessarily love it like Jordon does. I guess I feel the same way about it like Kyle does. I enjoy it, but when I first saw it, again, kind of like the movie, I wasn't too impressed with it. I guess because I've been so in love with the Showa version of King Ghidorah, to see a smaller version, altered version of him, suit wise, didn't really sit right with me. Even with the 91, even though the origin was kind of messed up, when we saw King Ghidorah, you was like, wow, that's King Ghidorah. You know, he had a look down pat despite the questionable origin story. So with this version of King Ghidorah, it took a while to grow on me, but he still is like in my lower half of favorite version of King Ghidorah. But I do enjoy the suit. Now, him being a hero or him being a babyface doesn't really bother me because we kind of do see that in 91. And that's one of my most favorite Godzilla films too, despite that film being problematic. So I'm able to buy the fact that King Ghidorah's a good guy because of Godzilla being such an evil, heinous, bad guy. I'm able to buy into it more with King Ghidorah being a good guy. As long as Godzilla is the most vicious and most reprehensible and evil, whatever, then I can buy into King Ghidorah being this good guy. But again, I felt like they didn't have to make him weaker to make Godzilla look strong. I think he already looked strong from the get-go. But that being said, like the outcome was never in doubt. You know, when you see Godzilla and you see Baragon and Mothra and King Ghidorah, you know that they're not going to win against Godzilla. We know that. Big girl, calm down, baby. She's probably thinking about the GMK Godzilla right now. But again, it's in my lower half of favorites. But again, like what AJ said, like what Kyle said, the X Plus version of that figure is so amazing. That's why he's going for stupid money right now. They did an incredible job with that. Maybe we'll see a reissue of him at some point.
He's
But
not.
again,
Is he resin
luck.
or no?
What's that?
that's the thing.
Is he resin or no? Or does he have resin components? I actually don't own that figure. I've just seen it and I know
No,
how.
it's vinyl.
Kyle
It
has
is
the
all
vinyl
vinyl.
version. Kyle has the vinyl version. This is actually the Monster Maker 28 kit. This is the resin version. So I think Kyle has the. I think part of the vinyl version I think is resin because, correct me if I'm wrong, Kyle. Isn't yours? Isn't the tails attached to King Ghidorah by magnets? Is that true?
Yeah. Yeah, so
Yeah,
this
okay.
is the tail piece and it attaches like a magnet like that. But
Okay.
it's also weak
Whoa!
and will fall off.
Oh man, that was terrifying.
Yeah, so-
Not the
Let-
figure. I may not like it, but don't drop the toy.
Yeah, we kind of.
That's not the kind of show we run here.
Yeah, we kind of had a similar moment like a month ago when I was putting that Spiral Studios King Ghidorah together.
Dude, I almost had a heart attack watching that unboxing, man. When you were
my little daughter
when you were
almost had a
like
heart attack.
when you were like, I don't know, you didn't put the knee stand on, and I was like in the chat like, put the knee stand on, knee stand, put it on, and like you're trying to put the wing. I was like, oh my god, this thing's gonna topple and fall, and no one's ever gonna buy Spiral ever again. But you like manhandled it like a beast, and we're just like, nah, just put this wing in, no problem.
Meanwhile, Sandra and our daughter was in the background. They were like, "Ooh."
Yeah. I've never been more nervous watching an unboxing video
Trust
before.
me, I was nervous. I didn't know what I was doing. That's why when I made a review, I was like, "You got to do it like this first, then that, then that." Yeah. Oh man. All right. Next question. I guess we can start. We can start with you on this next question. The question that I formulated, I guess, for my segment is: there are a few messages in GMK. It's not just a monster movie. There are some messages involving this film. What is your favorite message from GMK, or what did you get out of it, as far as like a message, as far as like GMK?
I mean, basically.
I know. I'm sorry, but I know that you have the Yuri character in there that wants to prove herself, and because she's out there, she's filming Godzilla. I think that's something that a lot of people would do today if Godzilla appeared in real life. They would pull up their phones and like, hey, I'm doing a selfie. I'm with Godzilla. I'm gonna be on WorldStar.com.
That would totally be me, by the way.
Live streaming all the way from Kobe.
Yeah,
That
she
would
was
totally
trying
be me.
to prove herself, She's just trying to prove herself that she could, do the same just like the guys. She was willing to take risk to get that validation of being a female to try to,
Did you relate to her? Because of course, in case you don't know, my wife works in the transportation industry, which is basically almost all male dominated. And she's worked for a freight company that was, more so like that. So did you relate to Yuri on that level where you feel like, you had to prove yourself even more so because you were in a male dominated business?
Well, I mean, I proved myself, but then I overexcelled on a lot of things. And then, you find out that some people, once you overexcel like her, then you have the other people fall back and stuff. Well, I'm not going to do it. Now, one thing I wouldn't have done is, if I'm going to sit there and try to take pictures of video GMK, I'm not going to be right there looking at them. I'm sorry, they got better equipment now, but no, I'm not going to, not going to kill myself trying to do it. But yeah, I mean, I can understand, her trying to get the story and everything, but that's the risk she was willing to take to get that validation, at that period in time. Anyway, things are not that big of a struggle now, but back in that time, yeah, it was. So
now for me, before we get to Kyle, what I got out of GMK, and it's kind of like how there's so much to really dive into with this film. Kind of like the way John Ruffin can just pick apart Shin. He's masterful at it, right?
Oh yeah, he is.
So I kind of got that way. I kind of put my Ruffinish kind of spin on Shin, because there's so many things about this film. Like, you can make the argument about how the kids in the film don't really respect the older generation. That's going on right now in today's society, quite frankly. The whole Yuri situation, trying to prove herself in a male-dominated business. But the one that I really resonate the most, or at least what I got out of it, is the fact that in this film, before Godzilla shows up, they treat Godzilla as a joke. They don't believe in him. They are choosing to forget the original Godzilla attack, since this film really jumps off the 54, right? And I think a lot of people do that nowadays. They tend to forget the sins of the past, which may come back to haunt them, just like Godzilla did in this film. But I think that's also can be applied to the fandom. I think a lot of people, at least the new Godzilla fans today, have become more so fans because of the MonsterVerse, and that's absolutely awesome. I'm not trying to rain on the MonsterVerse parade, but yet they don't want to go back and watch the original Godzilla films. And I've always said, to really become a true fan, to really understand, you have to go back to the original. I understand that the Showa films are dated by today's standards, but you need to understand where the character originally came from. Godzilla was originally a tragic character that was derived from a real life situation. It's not like King Kong, who's strictly a fantasy character. Godzilla was really derived from a real life incident that impacted so many different people. And I highly advocate people to go back and watch the original Godzilla films. But I think in this film, like I said, they treat Godzilla as a joke. But then when Godzilla shows up, he was like, look, you may think I'm a joke, but I'm going to show you to never think I'm a joke ever again. And I think that also can be applied, like I said, to the Godzilla fans. That, you know, because a lot of Godzilla fans love the MonsterVerse Godzilla, where we see him fight other monsters and blah, blah, blah. But they're not willing to go back and watch the serious interpretations of them. So I highly advocate for people to really don't forget about the serious interpretations of them, the dark interpretations of them. It's cool to love Godzilla when he's the over-the-top superhero, but let's not forget the fact that he is still Godzilla. He is still dangerous. He still could be a threat. He still could be all these dark things. Just don't overlook that. And that, to me, is the message, at least one of the main messages that I love about GMK. So that being said, Kyle, what about you? What message resonates with you in regards to GMK?
Oh man, I think when I first saw it, the message of the film didn't resonate with me so much as the exploits of the characters that I was talking about earlier. How Kaneko knows how to direct so that you can connect with those characters and really feel what they're experiencing, right? And so, to me, that's what I took away from that movie. I took away, wow, cool monster fights, cool human stuff. And it wasn't until much later where I started really going into what is happening in the film and why things are happening that way that I started to really understand that this is about modern society's willful ignorance of their past mistakes. And in I've said this about Shin Godzilla. Shin Godzilla is a movie that is not made for the rest of the world. Shin Godzilla is a movie that's made for the Japanese, and it's up to people like John and other scholars out there to do the legwork to figure out how to translate that to Western eyes and ears, you know. And it's because of John bringing up all that deep stuff about Shin Godzilla that a lot of people have taken a closer look at like what Shin Godzilla does. For GMK, it's kind of similar. You're talking about the message is global, you know, don't forget the mistakes of the past, right? That's sort of the global message. But for Japan specifically, it is about willfully ignoring the atrocities that your country perpetuated in World War II, and the angry spirits of the war dead are pissed off about that, and so they're resurrecting this Godzilla to teach us a lesson. And that was not as apparent to me as it was once I started looking into the film. I wish it was a little bit more apparent, but it's also in some weird sense, like the word, because not a weird sense of the word, weird sense of what's going on in this movie. It really is more about the Japanese perspective on things than it is from the rest of the world, right? So you're talking about Japan's loss of World War II because of what they did. You know, that's the end result that they're warning people about. This could happen again. This, you know, if we're ignoring our past, it's going to come out and attack us essentially. So that was the scholarly takeaway from the film. I like both takeaways honestly, because to me an entertaining movie is way more fun than nothing but a humdrum ham-fisted message, you know what I mean?
How about you, Jordan? Did you gather any messages from the film, or if you did, what resonates with you the most?
The message that I got from the movie, it kind of goes both ways. It's really not what's said in the movie, rather what we've gotten in the movie, and that is that, and I think I mentioned it earlier on during our discussion, and that is change is not necessarily a bad thing. You know, like for example, you know, look at every Godzilla movie we've had prior to GMK. None, and this is my opinion, none could ever be, I guess, story wise relatable to GMK. Right? It's a complete 180 concept of, you know, just the monsters, the human characters, and you know, it's especially, you know, now today, a lot of people tend to, I guess, not like with what people are trying to bring back into modern society, you know, in certain particular cases, like with what Marvel's doing to Spider-Man or whatever the case is and stuff like that, you know, which we get why it's thrown at, you know, at today's modern societies, because it's what's suitable, you know, to them, you know. So, you know, when people would look back at a Godzilla movie, you know, nobody would ever look back at something like GMK because it's not like your typical average Godzilla movie. But once coming across it, it's just like, whoa! I didn't think you could make a Godzilla movie like this, you know. So that's the message that I get from GMK.
What about you, AJ?
I think, you know, in the very beginning, when they say the American Godzilla isn't Godzilla is the biggest message. No, I'm just when they're like that wasn't real. That's not Godzilla, guys.
But what, dude, what a way to kick off your movie, to literally
seriously.
call out like the American Godzilla as bullshit. Like, I love
Yeah,
that.
they were like,
film.
a monster showed up. They say it's Godzilla, but we have our doubts.
Japan says no. Yeah.
Yeah. But you know, to echo which everyone's been saying, like I really like the story of you know, it really is like a don't forget your past. Like remember, you know, where you came from, and the fact that Godzilla embodies that, like all the people that died, and is just like, you know, it's, and then the end of the movie for me like really symbolizes that, like you know, that pain that those people felt, that's like forever. Like that's never going away. Like Godzilla is forever, and if you forget again, he's coming back. Because, you know, in a couple more generations, it's going to be the same thing where they think Baragon is Godzilla. You know, they're like, it's Godzilla. And people are like, what? You know, when you're watching it, you're like, that's not, okay, guy. Yeah, that's Godzilla. He's a baby. So I really love that aspect of just like, you know, never forget, you know, and that kind of pain is just, it's never going away. You know, whether the new generation forgets about it or not, it's going to come back eventually at some point. There's always a crossroads. So
Well said.
Cool. So it seems like we've got, you know, different messages, at least some of the same message from GMK. But again, as I mentioned, this film is more than just a monster movie. I know it's easy to look at a Godzilla film and say, oh, they're goofy monster films, B-movie type films, but and a good chunk, not a good chunk of them, but a few of them are like that, where it's just really just silly, over the top, and just there to entertain you. But there are some films out there that have legit messages in them. The original, Mothra vs. Godzilla, GMK, the Kiryu films has a message in it. Of course, Shin Godzilla, you know. You just have to be mature enough to look past it and just understand it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not with that, you know, people looking at Godzilla or look down upon Godzilla fans because Godzilla is this goofy, over-the-top dinosaur, but yet you're going to analyze a guy that wears blue and red spandex, that wears a cape that can shoot lasers from his mouth, and
whoa.
or a guy that comes from or a guy
Why are we bringing superheroes into this, man? We're gonna go down that road.
It's the truth. It's the truth.
I'll go put my Batman costume on. We can have the discussion.
But it's true though. It's like people. I mean, it's widely accepted to be more of a fan of Superman and Spider-Man and Thor. But when you talk about Godzilla, it's like, oh, you do that. But it's like there's really not much, really a big difference. Again, you like what you like, and nobody should look down upon something else because you may not understand it. That's my whole point. These films, there are a good chunk of them that have messages and themes in them that are relatable to situations that are pertaining to individuals today, like revenge, for example. That's an anti-bullying message. And kids have died because of bullying nowadays, you know what I'm saying? Or like with GMK, people tend to forget what happened in the past and not really acknowledging that or choosing to forget, you know what I'm saying? But just have an open mind when it comes to these Godzilla films. I think you will enjoy some of them. And we would love to have you as a Godzilla fan. Now, before we get up out of here, we're going to end things probably a little bit earlier than usual. I have a few rapid fire questions. They're not too super hard like I normally do, so don't get all bent out of shape. Just maybe like 5 or 6, and then we'll do our closing remarks. So we'll start with Sandra, then Kyle, then Jordon, and AJ, then myself. All right. And I kind of know the answer to these questions, but I got to ask you anyway. Of course, where does the GMK Godzilla suit rank in your ranking? Of course, this
Number 1.
Kyle.
Pretty much my favorite.
Yes.
Jordan.
I mean, it's like that. What I was saying, like it's the Godzilla in my mind's eye. It's a nightmare. I love it.
That's it, man.
AJ, you said what?
I'd say number 3.
Me too. 64 and 91 are my first and second favorite. All right, what is your favorite fight scene in GMK? Which one do you enjoy the most? The one with Baragon, or one between Godzilla and King Ghidorah and Mothra, or one between Godzilla and King Ghidorah? Which one do you like?
I like the one with Mothra and GMK.
You mean Mothra, GMK, and King Ghidorah?
Yeah.
Them three together?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, just even for herself when she was shooting out the.
Oh, yeah.
I like when her start. Yeah, I like that.
Okay.
Yeah, because I like his expression. You know, I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna keep it G, but yeah, you know.
He was like, really?
He's like,
you shoot turrets at me now?
I mean, you know.
Yeah.
I kind of like that. That was just kind of exciting to be just, you know. Oh, you going there? Okay.
Godzilla was like, he was like.
He's like, anyways. It's
kind of like that Kong.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that Kong moment from CC2 where Kong was like, when Godzilla blew fire at Kong, and Kong was like. Anyways, Kyle, your favorite fight scene from GMK? Who gets it?
The Baragon fight is the most exciting. I mean, hands down. From everything from the actual action to where they're destroying that set, everything's just incredible about it. And the way that the helicopter dies at the end, so cool. Great.
There's
fight.
always a freaking helicopter in there too. I told him, I said, you always see a helicopter in the movies.
Jordan, your favorite fight?
I would have to say I agree with Kyle on this one. Like the Godzilla versus Baragon scene was what really like just you took my breath away. The choice of scenery, the choreography for the fight, even like the guys that were in the helicopter, they were commentating as they were fighting. Like I absolutely love it, and also from a professional wrestling fan standpoint, that was like just. It's nostalgic to me. It's something I could relate to a lot. Believe it or not, really quick. So a couple years back, still trying to aim at it now. I was attempting to pursue a career in professional wrestling, and so I wanted my character to be related to Godzilla. I just didn't know how to name the character. So one of the guys that I was training with, we were coming up with names on our way back home, and he's like, well, your name is Jordon. You like Godzilla. So how about Don Gojira? And I was like, oh, okay. So I'll draw like sketches of how how I wanted to look, like the original Spider-Man movie, how Tobey Maguire's just drawing sketches of the Spider-Man costume. So I did that. And also I came across a guy from Europe who had made my wrestling mask. and here it is.
Oh,
Nice.
So like
Dude.
the bag, it has like the dorsal plates and stuff like that. And
That's
so like
awesome.
one of the finishing moves I wanted to do, like, or at least not so much the finishing move, but like when I pinned them, it was homage to what Godzilla did to Baragon and what he also did to Kong when he stepped on their sternum and just let them lay down right there. So that was always
we ain't got to
something.
go there.
Yeah, I had to do that. I had to do that. So
Thank you.
still in the process. I want to, get back into it, but yeah, I'd have to say my favorite fight scene was Godzilla versus Baragon.
How about you, AJ?
I'm gonna go out of left field here. Godzilla versus the grocery woman. That is. I had the one of the cool things is that like I saw this movie when I was a kid, and now I've rewatched it just yesterday as an adult who has a kid now, so it's kind of that scene to me is the best. She's like Godzilla. They're trying to do the evacuation, and she's like Godzilla's just a legend. Which is kind of relatable today. And then he steps, he comes onto land, and the whole ground shakes, and then she goes outside and lets out that high pitched scream, and he's just like, "What the hell was that? Are you kidding me?" And he just charges up, and then they cut away to the kids, the teacher in the class. And I just that scene from when I was a kid to now watching it again, it just hits. Like Godzilla is, and that was also one of the first times you really get a Godzilla point of view too. Like they show you him like looking down and like growling, and he's like, "Who the is this chick? All right, you want to get loud? We can get loud, like." So that scene to me, I love that. I know that's not a. Godzilla vs. Baragon. If I'm picking a monster fight, it's definitely. I also agree, it's Godzilla vs. Baragon. But I just had to that scene for me is one of my favorite all-time Godzilla scenes ever. So what about you, Leslie? What do you got?
I'm agree with Baragon. Even though it was cool to see Mothra and King Ghidorah fight Godzilla, which is something we have never seen before and since. There was a nice visual, but I think the one monster that gave him the best fight, even though you knew he was going to lose, was Baragon. Next question. What is your favorite? And that's another cool thing about this film, that the posters with this film is so awesome. So what is your favorite poster? Babe, what's your favorite poster? You have this one that came on the Blu-ray case. You got that one. You got the one I bought you. This one right here. Mm-hmm. Then you have the one where Godzilla is like in the background, and you have all three monsters on top of him. It's like a profile shot.
No, I like the one before that.
Which one?
The one.
Hold on. Oh, you mean the poster I got you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That poster.
Yes.
How about you, Kyle? Your favorite poster?
My favorite poster. I've got both of the theatrical posters. The only Godzilla movie in my collection that gets double theatrical poster displays. I really like the photo poster. The photo poster, I like it better than the painted poster because the painted one doesn't. They're using like the Heisei Mothra and
you mean this
maybe
one?
like the painted one, the one with like it's like real orange. It was the theatrical advance poster. That's the one, yeah, that one. So Ghidorah kind of looks a little more like the romanticized Ghidorah, and the Heisei Mothra and the Baragon definitely looks like the 65 Baragon. So
yeah,
I like it, and it's up in my room up on the front with the big posters. But my favorite is the photo poster, the one where it's sort of like, it's almost like profile silhouette Godzilla, and then all the characters up in front.
Oh, you mean this one?
Yeah,
that one. My only complaint with that poster is that unfortunately it's got the Hamtaro portion on the bottom. Because god damn it, Toho.
Gotta get that cross promotion money, baby.
Yeah.
So annoying.
How about you, Jordon? Your favorite poster?
It'd have to be the Blu-ray cover that you have, Leslie. I absolutely love that vicious shot of Godzilla, and then you also get nice poses of Baragon, Ghidorah, and Mothra. I have the the illustrated poster on the other side, and it's not funny enough. I also have Godzilla right here in the background of my
Ah, look at
TV.
that.
Nice.
So that's that would have to be like my my top tier favorite poster for the movie.
How about you, AJ?
Mine is the artwork one.
Okay.
The
With like
theatrical
the
advance.
yeah, because I always like that one because it just has. I don't know. I kind of like visualize the movie with those designs and been like, yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of. It reminded me a lot of like the Hesai designs, where like really none of those designs are in the movie. They just look awesome. So
Well, it's
yeah,
attractive. It's an attractive poster.
yeah. So I've always that's always been my favorite.
Mine too. This next question, Sandra, you haven't seen all the films, so you have to answer this one. But for those who have seen the Gamera Heisei films, I mean, you've seen Legion, but you haven't seen Guardian of the Universe and Revenge of Virus, but we will at some point. But for those who have seen Gamera, Guardian of the Universe, Revenge of Virus, and Attack of Legion, in your opinion, rank the Kaneko Kaiju films from your least favorite to your most favorite. Where does GMK rank in the Gamera Heisei films, in your opinion? Kyle, go.
So least favorite would be Guardian of the Universe, which is still a phenomenal film. And then it would be Iris, followed by GMK, and then the top would be Gamera 2.
Jordon.
Oh my God, this is gonna be tough. Oh man, I'm gonna be biased here just on the sole fact that I was introduced to Godzilla way before Gamera. I'm gonna throw Godzilla up there first. And pretty much every Gamera movie comes in order, just in reverse. After that would be Iris, Legion, and then Guardian of the Universe.
AJ.
From best to worst, I'm gonna go Gamera 2, GMK, Guardians of the Universe, and then Iris.
I
Really?
I
You
am
don't
not.
like Iris?
I don't like that movie.
Okay.
There,
I think there's a lot to not like about it, honestly. But,
Yeah, like, it's again,
I've
it's
never
not
talked
to
to
say
somebody who ranked it so low in the trilogy.
it's not to say that it's like it's still a good movie. Like it's still, it sounds like it's the worst, but I'm not a big fan of the G99 design. I'm much more of a G2, and I absolutely adore the Guardians of the Universe Gamera design. It's such a great hybrid between Showa and modern. G99 just takes it up to like a notch of I just don't like. And then I don't know, it's too much CGI Iris, even though there's some of the best shots ever in that movie as well. The CGI Iris stuff just it just doesn't fit well because like Legion didn't have
that
too
fight
much.
in the air was freaking incredible, though, dude.
I'll have to rewatch it. It's been a while, but
Watch it big. Watch that 4K reissue.
I have all of them. I have since I moved into the house, I do not have a standalone Blu-ray player, so I have not been able to watch any of the 4K. Because I don't think on Amazon Prime they're in 4K, right? They're just the HD versions.
I don't think we have 4K here. It's just the Japanese ones.
So I won't do that to myself. I gotta watch the 4K version.
I mean, I have the Gamera Blu-ray set. Kyle, you do too. Are any of those films in 4K?
I don't think they are. I think the 4K basically they came out in 4K in Japan, and I don't think that they were. They may have been downsized from 4K to 1080p, but I don't think they came from. I'm not sure that they came from the 4K source.
Okay. For me, it will be from my most favorite to my least favorite. It will be Gamera 2, then GMK, then Revenge of Virus, and then Guardian of the Universe. All right, 2 more questions, and that's it. What is your favorite scene from GMK? It doesn't matter what it is. It could be with Godzilla, human characters, probably not. But what is your favorite scene from GMK?
Who are you asking first? Ask Sandra first.
we got to think about this one.
I gotta think.
I'll tell you what.
You go first.
We'll share an answer, okay? So pretty much everything is-
You're gonna make your wife share your answer?
Damn.
If I don't like it, I'm gonna say it. So.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
I think you're gonna love what I think you're gonna love what I pick. In my opinion, my most favorite scene in GMK, at least one of my favorites, I should say, is when the couple was in the valley and Baragon's in the distance, and the husband was like, "Hey, go over there, we'll take a picture of you." Now,
When he's looking over the mountain,
and then all of a sudden, Godzilla appears above them. That's my favorite. That's my favorite scene because you can tell with her face. She goes from smiling like this, and she look up, and she's like, "We are so fucked right now." And then the husband turns around, and Godzilla's back at him like, "I'm here, bitch. I'm here." That's my favorite moment. Kyle, go ahead.
Just reach out later on, Leslie. Make sure that you're okay. I just want to make sure you're okay after the stream.
Oh my goodness.
Woo!
I'm all right.
You're lucky Sandra's not the kicking ankles under the table type, right?
Well, we can't see it anyway.
Exactly.
I'm sorry for that moment. My eyes are blurred. Your favorite scene from GMK, Kyle? Go for it.
The part where the movie starts and then it ends. Like that's my whole favorite scene. Yeah, the entire movie. No, honestly, my favorite moment in GMK is when Yuri comes home drunk with Takeda, and Takeda thinks that he's gonna just like go let his friend inside, and like General Tachibana opens the door, and that moment where they're all standing there, sort of looking at each other from the moment he says, "You're drunk," and she's like, "No, I'm not." Like it's just perfectly done. It's really, and let's just I'm just gonna give Kaneko some more laurels here. Yuri Tachibana is played by Chiharu Niyama, and Ryudo Uzaki is playing General Tachibana. Neither of them are actually actors. They are pop stars, basically. And
Okay.
so for that scene to have actually worked with just dialogue and physical acting ability, like to make it so endearing to me is, I think it's like, it speaks volumes to Kaneko's abilities as a director.
That's right.
I'll
That's
thank you
right.
for your time.
Jordan, your favorite scene? What is it?
Oh man, it boils down to these two as like I tie them up as just one equal ranking. In the beginning when they're in the bottom of the ocean and in Godzilla's dorsal plates are like glowing, and truthfully the scene where Godzilla's just like charging up and absorbing Ghidorah's gravity beams, and like in the close-up shot is like his eyes closing, his snout snarling up, and then just boo, he shoots his freaking gravity atomic breath beam, whatever the hell you want to call it. Those two would be my all-time favorite scenes.
AJ.
I said it before, the whole grocery scene. Seeing the power of Godzilla's, atomic breath actually, resembling an atomic bomb mushroom cloud. That's just, I love it. That was always my favorite when I was a kid, and it's my favorite now.
And the last question is, what is your favorite? I already know, babe, but you can still say it anyway. Matter of fact, I'm gonna bring them up right now. What is your favorite collectible from this film that you have in your collection? Babe, go ahead. Go ahead.
of course, my love, GMK.
The gigantic GMK.
Yes, gigantic. I'll take any. Matter of fact, if I could have a GMK as big as Helmy got that big shin, I would probably lose my freaking mind.
Helmy Shin is about the size of a Volkswagen, right?
Well, if I have a GMK like that, oh my God.
Hey,
I'll have to talk to the powers that spiral, Sandra.
There you go.
Yes, I want a GMK. I want a gigantic Hedra. I want a gigantic. I mean,
Hedra would be so
yeah,
cool.
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Wouldn't that be great? It'd be, and then light that sucker up too. Boy, yeah, that GMK.
okay.
Oh, I would lose my mind. Do you hear me?
Well,
I'd sell my dog for one of those. No, I'm just kidding.
that means I got to put more hours in that work.
Well, I got something coming real special next year, so I'm real excited.
Oh, yes, you do.
I'm
Yes, you do.
real,
Yeah, so-
real excited.
Yeah, but Spiral Studios, I know they're listening because he's right here. Anything from GMK, look us up. We will buy it. Yes, we will.
Oh, God,
No comment.
Yeah.
Kyle, go for it. Your favorite collectible from this movie?
Does this count? Because he wasn't
Yes.
actually in the movie.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
If you said no, though,
Impact.
I was prepared for a backup with the book, the Sacred Guardian book.
There
Oh,
you
that's
go.
awesome.
That's awesome.
So,
man.
yeah, there you go. There's your
I'm
text.
jealous. I am jealous. Wow.
Those are awesome.
And I had that way before John Ruffin got his. I'm a GMK hipster.
Why did I have this mental picture of John doing that meme I always post on Facebook when an angry guy's like this? Because he wasn't too happy on a coffee chat because Shin Godzilla didn't get a whole bunch of love on that chat.
True.
Oh
True.
boy.
I did talk a little trash about Omega Beast's Shin Godzilla.
Are we doing this
Oh,
again?
boy.
Oh,
Yeah,
shit.
you're doing it again.
I have no comment on that. None.
Anyway,
Jordon, your favorite collectible from this movie?
I'm the same thing with the scenes. I have two favorites in particular. One is this little I'm trying to get
that's
a
cute.
frame,
Puppet.
little finger
I got
puppet,
that. I got
and
that.
this bad boy right here.
I got that, dude. The hyper hobby. Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
I absolutely love it. I just got him, and I think I got him for I got him on Facebook actually. I got him for like $30-$40.
That's
That's
a
So
incredible
that was a
Great
steal
price,
to me.
dude.
So I'm happy that I got him, and those would have to be my favorite collectibles for this particular movie.
AJ, go for it.
My favorite is the FSL GMK from X Plus, or my issue with a lot of GMK collectibles is they're all stylized because it feels like the toy makers don't want to acknowledge that he has a dad bod. So like even like Sakai, everyone trims him down, or Ryu who did the gigantic. I mean, I'm not a big fan of stylized stuff. That gigantic GMK is phenomenal. You know how I bash the gigantic burning Godzilla because his face is terrible. But
Really? I didn't notice that.
but the FSL for me is like they really captured the suit and the pose. I'm a sucker for any kind of dynamic pose at all. So that is my absolute favorite.
And my favorite, of course, I'll bring him up again. Might as well. Move B, get away. Sorry. This is my favorite collectible. And of course, Sandra has the standard, but I like this one better because of the darker paint scheme and the blue doors of place. Even though that this wasn't the way it was in the film, it's stylized in color scheme as well.
And I like the standard. I like the standard better than that one. Actually.
Right. So we kind of like going back and forth. But either way, you can't go wrong with the gigantic GMK, no matter how he's colored. But that was the final question. But before we get up out of here, let's give our final thoughts on this movie before we roll up out of here. We'll see you for last one. So Kyle, in your own words, what do you have to say about GMK in regards to its 20th anniversary this year?
GMK represents like the best in some ways, the best of Godzilla movies. And unfortunately, it isn't perfect because damn, if there were just a few things that they had done differently, this movie could have been even more perfect. And I guess that's sort of where I would sit with it. That's why it's like goes from number one to not so number one. It's because those little things that I don't like about it, once I'm watching the movie, I'm like, oh, right, they did this. I forgot that's how they treated this guy here. So overall, there are things that I really like about it, but I mean, there are things I love about it, but there are things that I just that bring it down for me. So it's like it can't be perfect, unfortunately, without a time machine and a lot of money.
Yeah, the
How
Snyder
about you,
Cut,
Jordan?
man.
Yeah.
To the cast and crew of GMK, thank you. From me personally, it's everything that I have ever looked forward to in a Godzilla movie at the time. Even still to this day, like I talk about, I love the MonsterVerse. I love the whole Titans gimmick that these, the kaiju have. But this being just everything that I've always wanted to expect in this movie, I love it. Me personally, if there were anybody to come up to me and ask, hey, listen, I'm trying to get into the Godzilla lore, what would you recommend me? um GMK would be, for me, GMK would be the movie I'd recommend to them. So I bias again. I'll give it a 10 out of 10.
AJ, what about you?
Yeah, this is, for, the MonsterVerse is creating a lot of new Godzilla fans, and I would, if there's a top 5 list to really put out there to, let the newer fans really appreciate everything that's happened, GMK would be at the top of the list with like 54. Shin, 85 is still one of my favorite movies of all time. Or yes, 85, not 84. Raymond Burr, let's go. Yeah, it's just it hits so many notes. There are some absolute, Kaneko is just absolutely. I can't even find the right word. At just a master of his craft. Coming from Gamera 2, which is still, in my opinion, the absolute like pinnacle of practical effect kaiju movie. It's just, in GMK is like right there, and like Kyle said, like there's a couple things that if they would have changed, it would have been the absolute perfect Godzilla movie, but it's still up there, man. So if you're a new fan and you've never seen GMK, All Monsters Attack, go rent it. It's on, I think it's on Amazon actually, but you can rent it anywhere. How about you
How about
guys?
you, babe?
I would say, especially to New York Godzilla fans, I would recommend this movie because we're a little bit more critical because we're looking for more things. But as a general rule, just from the 2019, 2014, for people who want to go back a little further, this is a good movie. The dialogue's good. It had a good flow to it. It wasn't like Shin, because sometimes Shin just got so dry. It just, you almost had to hit a post to get something going on. And I've learned, and actually, to be honest with you, just for Shin for a second, if it wasn't for having conversations and listening to John Ruffin talk, like Kyle said, to kind of break things down, and to explain things, I wouldn't give Shin a second look. I don't care for the figure, I will say that, but to each his own. But I do respect what he has to say about it, and I have, okay, well, maybe not so bad or whatever. But as far as new people wanting to look at an older movie that has more like a good flow, that would definitely be the Giant Monsters All Out Attack. I think you get what you're looking for. You'll see another side of GMK, or excuse me, another side of Godzilla that you've never seen before. So you'll see a scarier version that you once you see him, you may get attracted to him and want to be able to secure that figure. You know what I mean? So I think it's an enjoyable one. Like I said, it's my favorite for so many reasons, but I just think it'll bring a lot to the table to people who are just getting into liking Godzilla and want to try to, go back a little bit and not so far where they're lost. They can just get a good flow with this movie right here.
I'm gonna echo what everybody's been saying. This film is excellent, in my opinion, even though there's some shortcomings with it, but still, on its worst day, it's still one of the best films in the franchise, bar none. Like I said, even the most jaded fan, will say something positive about this film, and that's a testament to how great this film is. But I guess on a personal level, as I mentioned on in the beginning of the show, this film really was a reason that Sandra got more into the community. And a lot of people always ask me that. They was like, "Wow, your wife is so cool. Like, how'd you get her into it?" And blah blah blah. And I explained to them. But I think a lot of people, want their spouses to be a part of this journey with them. Absolutely. They may not understand it, but they want more involvement. Whatever, and they can be a part of it or not. It's up to them. But the fact that this movie really got my wife into this community, got her to become a collector, got her to become more of a fan, got her to want to know more about the monsters in the movies, got her to want to go to Japan with Kyle and other people so we can learn more about the culture of Japan. All that doesn't happen without GMK. So I owe a lot to this movie because it brought us more so close together on a personal level. And who would have thought, like I said, a demonic, unholy Godzilla film would bring that into fruition, but it did. And again, I can't believe it's been 20 years since this awesome film has been around. In my opinion, it's the pinnacle of the Millennium series. Got to give respect a little bit to I know you don't want to hear this, but the 98 film, because of it being so questionable, and then which led to Godzilla 2000, which then led to Mechagodzilla, and then we eventually got this. And of course, like I said, they acknowledged 98, so at least 98 is good for something, just a little bit. If 98 gave us GMK, if it led to GMK, then the 98 film is not so bad. But anyways, GMK, the best films ever in the franchise. Like I said, the pinnacle of the Millennium series. I echo what Sandra said. If you're a new fan, have not gone back to the older ones, but yet you want a more modern take of the character with old school kind of set special effects, then you can't go wrong with GMK. And that's pretty much it with the end of this conversation. I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to Kyle Yount, Jordon Adorno, Aj Russo for Kaiju Live. Thank y'all so much for being a part of this discussion. Y'all came when I asked y'all. I really do appreciate it. Everybody in the chat that's been with us for the past 2 hours, thank you so much. A few news items I want to talk about before we get up out of here. First and foremost, I want to give, even though their birthday has passed, I want to give a huge shout out and happy birthday, even though it's kind of belated, to both Kyle, who celebrated his birthday this past Tuesday, and my wife Sandra, her birthday was on Thursday. So let's get on you guys. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, you guys.
Thank you.
Happy birthday. Both y'all have meant so much to me, on a personal level as well as professional with Collector Monsters. I love you. I love both of y'all. So thank y'all so much. Y'all are so
It's the glow in the dark, right, Kyle?
And Leslie has
that's not a glow?
No, flesh.
His birthday is on the 6th.
Yeah, my birthday is on the 6th. Then our wedding anniversary is 5 days later. And then we're going on vacation 5 days later, which leads to the next news item. Because I'm going on vacation, I will not be a part of the next episode of Collector Monsters, which is going down 2 weeks from today, October 16th. But don't worry, they will give you an awesome, fun show. And I think AJ, will Kaiju Live be back tomorrow night or what?
Yes, we are finally back. The COVID quarantine has ended. Dad is allowed to come over now, So we're back tomorrow night.
Jordon, anything you got coming on your channel or anything you want to talk about that you got project-wise you got coming up?
Well, you guys, I pretty much discussed this with Leslie before we went on live. So YouTube decided to disable my channel for copyright infringements with the Digimon videos I was doing. So I've been doing research. I'm finally gonna get it back. So, but I
Sorry,
am
dude.
extremely active on TikTok. Just type in.
Oh no.
That's pretty much all I have to say.
Oh, okay, he's back. Cut out there
What
for a
happened, man?
second,
What
Jordan.
happened? What happened, man? Because you kind of froze there. What
Okay,
happened?
okay. So, all right. So, what was the last thing? What was the last thing you guys heard?
TikTok.
Your account got
TikTok.
Your
Okay,
TikTok.
okay, yeah. So, all right. So I'm really, really active on TikTok. Just type in Realist Goji Fan. You guys could, follow me, support me there. But don't worry, the Realist Goji Fan YouTube channel is going to be coming up hopefully sooner rather than later. Been recording a couple videos, Godzilla related videos for you guys. So yeah.
How about you, Kyle? You want to talk about Collectible Monsters or anything you want to talk about or plug before we get up out of here?
Sure, yeah. So coming up on Collect All Monsters, not next weekend, but the weekend after that, we have our oh my gosh, it's called Era Wars episode. So we're gonna have a discussion about Godzilla throughout the different eras. And in addition to Leslie Chambers bailing on us for this episode. Leslie will have somebody there that's going to do their best to do, to fill Leslie's shoes, which is impossible. But Christine is also not going to be able to join us for that particular one. So my old co-host from Kaiju Cast, Gretchen, is going to be joining us for this next episode. So it should be pretty fun. Should be a classic discussion about movies and the toys therein. And looking forward to it on October 16th at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern.
I have one question I'd like to ask everyone before we leave, if that's cool.
Sure.
Speaking of collectibles and whatnot, the upcoming GMK bust from XM Studios. Has anyone seen that yet? No? No one's seen it? Oh, okay. Never mind.
I saw a silhouette of it, but I haven't seen it fully painted.
I'm not really a bust, not really into busts, but man, that one might be the one.
Oh no!
Oh yeah, I've seen that. Oh yes.
Yeah, they're
yes.
doing some teasing, but there were leaked pictures like a couple months
somebody
ago
sent me a
of that
picture
and
of that, matter
the
of
Shin
fact.
Godzilla that XM's
Oh,
doing.
Yep. Then they have like a silhouette of like what they were. Yes.
They just did
somebody
silhouettes.
sent me a picture of that. Yeah, I got to have that.
Yeah, that's again. I'm not really into busts, but man,
Me either, but I like
that might be the
one.
one. That might be the one.
Me.
I think Michael Farrell from Kaiju Battle. I think he said earlier today that they're going to be at XM's going to be at New York Comic Con. I think October 16th, I believe, and they're going to be showcasing some kind of roof up there.
Oh, I don't want to. Yeah, all of that's going to be revealed at New York City Comic.
Right. So
Space Godzilla, Godzilla '94.
The bus.
Man, I'm gonna have to just, I don't know, create a new garage for outside for these. I've been waiting my whole life for gigantic, like high-end collectibles, and now they're just coming at you from every different angle between, Spiral, XM, Prime One, and now I'm just like.
I smell the Kaiju Live Museum opening up soon.
Yeah, pretty much. So I'm totally pumped. I can't wait to see what they fully look like.
Awesome.
Yeah. But again, thank y'all so much for being a part of this. Jordon, Kyle, AJ.
My pleasure.
Of course.
Thank you guys.
Thank you so much for
happy
having me.
birthday, Kyle. Happy birthday, Sandra. Our wedding anniversary.
Happy birthday, Liz.
Thank you. The return of Kaiju Live, Collect on Monsters. Jordon's gonna bring back his channel. So you have lots to look forward to. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna keep the content coming on our respective platforms. And the reason why I collaborate with these people because they're awesome people and they're doing this for the right reasons. They ain't trying to do this to be a YouTube celebrity or whatever. We genuinely love this stuff. We love Godzilla. We love these movies. We love it all. And we're so fortunate that we're in a community that reciprocates that type of love. So thank you for everybody that, supports myself, AJ, Jordon, Kyle, everybody on Collect on Monsters. We would not be here without y'all. And again, happy 20th anniversary. So Mothra, King Ghidorah, Giant Monster Isle Attack. Oh my God. Before we go, help me out. Da, 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 da,
Nice. This always works out so well on Collect All Monsters when we try and sync up.
Had to give y'all one cool moment before we get up out of here. So thank you once again, Kyle, Jordon, Sandra, AJ. We thank you so much. Everybody in the chat, we really do appreciate it. As I say at the end of all my videos, we thank you so much for watching. We appreciate it. We will see y'all again on this figure and movie review. All right? Yes.
Take it easy, everybody.